All right, guys, the Bears roster is basically locked in. The dust has settled after preseason, and now all the attention is on Week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. But let's be real, as much as you can get excited about the depth chart being finalized, there's some huge question marks hanging over this team heading into the opener. And I'm not talking about minor little tweaks or depth chart mysteries. I'm talking about things that could absolutely decide whether Chicago starts the season with momentum or falls flat on its face. After going through camp, preseason, and the injury list, I see 3 glaring problems that can't be ignored. And I'm going to break down each one, starting with the most obvious. Where on earth is this pass rush going to come from? Listen, I understand it's just the preseason. The play calling is vanilla. Defenses aren't throwing exotic blitzes or complicated stunts, and coaches aren't showing their real cards. But at the end of the day, you can't ignore one-on-one matchups. You can't brush off the fact that against Kansas City, there were long stretches where it looked like the Bears' front four didn't even exist. Montez Sweat, the guy who is supposed to be the tone setter, the one with the big contract, barely got mentioned. That's not what you want from the highest-paid edge rusher on the roster. And it wasn't just him. When Josh Simmons, a rookie fresh out of college, is putting one of your supposed starters in a box and locking him down in a meaningless August game, that should set off alarm bells. And it gets worse because the backups are not in great shape either. Austin Booker, who at least flashed some juice early in preseason, is banged up and might not be available in the opener. Dominique Robinson, who's still hanging around despite never really breaking through, is also hurt. Daniel Hardy might give you a situational role in some kind of speed package, but you can't lean on him every down. What this really means is defensive coordinator Dennis Allen is going to have to manufacture pressure with creativity. That's the biggest change from last season under Matt Eberflus, who stubbornly refused to blitz and stuck to his cover 2 shell no matter how many quarterbacks stood back there picking the defense apart. At least with Allen, you know you'll see more stunts, more disguised pressures, more variety in how they try to get after the quarterback. But still, if you can't win straight up with 4 guys, you're always playing behind the 8 ball. Sure, the interior might be able to create some push, but off the edge, it looks like a wasteland outside of Sweat. And even with him, it's not like he's coming off an elite season. He battled injuries, and yes, he's still capable of being disruptive, but he's being paid like a game wrecker. That's the expectation. So far, I haven't seen anything that screams he's going to single-handedly tilt games. And if quarterbacks are standing tall, untouched, scanning the field against 7 defenders in coverage, well, that's going to be a long Sunday for Chicago more often than not. Pass rush is how defenses flip games, sacks, strip sacks, hurries that force bad throws. Without it, the ceiling of this defense drops dramatically. If you're asking me right now to rate the concern level for this pass rush on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm sitting at about an 8.5. And as if that wasn't enough of a problem, you pile injuries on top of it, and suddenly the defense looks even shakier. It's like everywhere you turn, someone is either out, questionable, or limited in practice. Jaquan Brisker, the heart of the secondary, has been banged up. Jalen Johnson, your number 1 corner, hasn't seen the field in weeks. TJ Edwards, your veteran linebacker, went down. Tremaine Edmonds has been nursing his own issues, only now working his way back. Kyler Gordon missed almost 3 weeks of camp before returning. Rookies like Jervin Dexter and Tyre Carter are still trying to ramp up after setbacks. And then, of course, you lose Terrell Smith, one of your more reliable depth corners, for the entire season. That's not just bad luck. That's devastating for a team already thin at certain positions. Now think about what that means for Week 1. The Vikings may not be Super Bowl favorites, but they're loaded with offensive weapons. You're talking about Justin Jefferson, who doesn't need an introduction, Adam Thielen back in the division, TJ Hawkinson at tight end, and a couple of running backs who can get the job done. Oh, and it's prime time, divisional game, first game under a new head coach. If Chicago is rolling into that game with 3 or 4 of its defensive starters either out or less than 100%, that is a nightmare scenario. This was supposed to be a defense-first team, while Caleb Williams and the offense worked out the early kinks. But if the injuries and lack of pass rush force the defense to bend more than expected, suddenly the pressure shifts to the rookie quarterback and the offense to keep pace on the scoreboard. Instead of a grinded-out 20-17 type of game, you might need 28 or 30 points to win. That is not what the Bears envisioned heading into September. And then, as if those two issues weren't enough, there's the offensive line, specifically the blind side. Left tackle is one of the most important jobs in football, and the Bears basically ended up choosing Braxton Jones as the starter by default. Ben Johnson, throughout camp, made it clear he wanted someone to step up and claim the spot. He said it openly, but no one did. Isaiah Chillo hit the rookie wall and got moved back to right tackle. Other options never looked convincing. So Jones, who at least has experience with over 40 starts, slides back in simply because the staff knows what they're getting, even if it isn't ideal. That's not exactly confidence-inspiring when you're talking about the guy responsible for protecting Caleb Williams' blind side. Now, to be fair, Jones wasn't a total disaster in preseason, but the issues are obvious. He gave up 5 pressures in just over 40 pass blocking snaps. That's a pressure rate north of 10%, which is not sustainable. He looked vulnerable to inside moves, getting beaten multiple times by twitchy pass rushers. The one thing he used to have going for him was quick feet, athleticism to compensate for a lack of pure anchor strength. But coming off that ankle injury, even that quickness doesn't look the same. Instead of taking a step forward, he looks like a diminished version of himself. Sure, he's still a plus run blocker, and having Joe Thuney next to him should help stabilize things. But if you're hoping for a serviceable left tackle at best, that's not what you want protecting a rookie quarterback who needs every bit of confidence he can get in the pocket. And think about what that means for game planning. Ben Johnson values tackles who can win one-on-one in pass protection. That's his philosophy. He'd rather sacrifice some run-blocking efficiency if it means the quarterback isn't running for his life. But Jones is the opposite. He's better moving forward in the ground game than holding his ground against edge rushers. That mismatch in philosophy and skill set could create serious problems if defenses target him early and often. And, Minnesota, and especially Detroit in Week 2, are going to test him. Caleb Williams is already entering the league under a microscope. If his blind side is shaky, that pressure only intensifies. So here we are, the roster is set, but the concerns are real. A pass rush that looks toothless, a defense decimated by injuries before Week 1 even kicks off, and a left tackle situation that feels more like a Band-Aid than a solution. Those are 3 massive red flags. And while there are positives, a new coaching staff, young talent, and the excitement of a rookie quarterback, the reality is that if these issues aren't addressed quickly, they could define the first month of the season. All right, let's keep peeling this back because those 3 red flags we laid out aren't just isolated problems. They ripple through the entire roster, the coaching staff, the strategy for Week 1, and even the expectations for the first stretch of the season. And the truth is, when you look deeper, you realize that the Bears don't just have to worry about the Vikings in the opener. They've got a brutal 2-week stretch right away with Minnesota, followed by Detroit. That's 2 divisional games against offenses that can score in bunches. If you stumble out of the gate at 0-2, suddenly the optimism of the offseason takes a hit, the media pressure cranks up, and your rookie quarterback is already dealing with what's wrong with Chicago narratives before September is even over. That's why these flaws matter so much. Now let's zoom in on the defense again, because this isn't just about injuries and the pass rush. When you look at the secondary, you realize how fragile it really is. Jalen Johnson has not been healthy, and when he's not on the field, the entire coverage unit changes. He's the guy you put on an island against an opponent's top wideout, and if he's not there, you're asking someone else to cover Justin Jefferson in Week 1. That's a nightmare scenario. Kyler Gordon is working his way back, but hasn't had the reps you want heading into live action. Jaquan Brisker is banged up, and if your safeties aren't healthy, you lose that versatility in disguising coverages. A Dennis Allen defense thrives on confusing quarterbacks, showing one look pre-snap and rolling into something else post-snap. You need a fully functioning secondary to pull that off. If half those guys are in the trainer's room, it takes away a lot of the flexibility that makes Allen's scheme work. And even if they are out there, how close are they to 100%? A corner dealing with a soft tissue injury is not the same corner you scouted on film. A safety playing on a sore leg might not close space as fast. So it's not just about being active on game day. It's about whether they can play at the level needed to slow down high-octane passing attacks. Against Minnesota and Detroit, you can't hide. Those teams will throw 40 times if they smell weakness. It puts even more pressure back on that pass rush, which we already know is shaky, because the longer the quarterback has to throw, the more those coverage breakdowns show up. So what does that mean for Caleb Williams and the offense? It means the script might flip earlier than anyone expected. When the Bears drafted Williams, the idea was pretty simple. Bring him along at a steady pace, let the defense carry more of the load, and give him time to grow without being asked to win shootouts right away. But if the defense is undermanned, Williams might have to throw the ball 35 to 40 times in his very first NFL game just to keep pace. That's not ideal. Sure, he's got the talent, he's got the poise, and he's played in massive games in college. But this is a whole different animal. You're facing veteran coordinators, faster defenses, disguised coverages that are meant to bait a rookie into mistakes. And while Williams has the arm and the creativity to pull off highlight plays, putting all that pressure on him in week one feels like a dangerous recipe. And that's where the offensive line comes back into the spotlight. If Braxton Jones struggles at left tackle, if pass protection breaks down, Williams doesn't even get a chance to show what he can do. He'll be forced into scramble mode. And while he can absolutely make plays on the move, living like that every week is not sustainable. Quarterbacks take hits, they get rattled, and habits form quickly. If you're constantly dodging rushers because your blind side is shaky, you stop trusting the pocket. That's the last thing the Bears want for their franchise quarterback. It makes you wonder if the front office will explore a trade at some point. Maybe they call Houston about Cam Robinson. Maybe they scour waiver wires. Maybe they wait until a veteran gets cut after week one. But you can't rely on maybe when the season opener is less than 2 weeks away. And the reality is, if you roll into the season with Jones as your left tackle, you're basically hoping he can be passable enough not to derail the offense. That's not much of a safety net when everything you're building revolves around protecting and developing your rookie quarterback. Another ripple effect to consider is the running game. If your line is shaky in pass protection, one way to balance that is leaning on the run. The Bears have some interesting pieces in the backfield, but none of them scream bell cow. DeAndre Swift is explosive when healthy, but we've all seen his injury history. Isaiah Williams has shown flashes, but he's young. If Williams is asked to throw too often because the run game isn't holding defenses honest, the offense becomes predictable. It circles right back to the protection issue and puts even more on the quarterback. Now think about what this means from a coaching standpoint. Ben Johnson is in his first season as a head coach. He's been praised for his offensive mind, his creativity, and his ability to scheme guys open. But head coaching is more than just drawing up plays. It's about managing the entire game, managing momentum, managing adversity. When you walk into your first game and half your defensive starters are banged up, your pass rush is questionable, and your offensive line is holes. That is a massive challenge. He's going to have to decide early whether to lean on his rookie quarterback, whether to get aggressive with play calling, or whether to try and slow the game down. Either way, his decisions in those first couple of games are going to set the tone for how this team is perceived. And here's the other thing. The schedule does not let up. After the Vikings and Lions, you've got the Texans, the Colts, and the Rams in the first 6 weeks. Those are not lightweights. Houston just won its division with a young quarterback who looks like a star. Indianapolis has Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson. The Rams, even in transition, still have Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp. If you stumble early, you could be staring at a hole before the season even finds its rhythm. That's why week one against Minnesota already feels like a crossroads. You win, you buy yourself time to get healthy, build confidence, and grow. You lose, and suddenly every flaw we've been talking about gets magnified. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers around the league have been swirling like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind ever since the news broke that Tyreek Hill one of the most electrifying wide receivers in the NFL, is rumored to be on the verge of joining the Chicago Bears. Insiders claim the team has been working tirelessly behind the scenes, negotiating contracts, exploring cap space, and aligning strategies to ensure Hill's arrival is not just possible but imminent. The excitement among fans is palpable, with social media feeds exploding with speculation, mock rosters, and fantasy league calculations that factor in Hill's legendary speed and uncanny ability to turn seemingly routine plays into highlight reel moments. Analysts are buzzing with theories about how head coach Matt Eberflus might restructure the offensive schemes to leverage Hill's unique skill set. The potential impact on the Bears season cannot be overstated. One move like this could transform a team that has struggled to find consistent offensive rhythm into a legitimate contender in the NFC North. Conversations in bars, offices, and sports forums are dominated by what-if scenarios, imagining Hill weaving through defenders at Soldier Field, leaving rival teams scrambling and fans on their feet in a frenzy of excitement. The energy is infectious, the anticipation almost unbearable, as Chicago seems poised on the edge of a historic signing that could define the franchise's trajectory for years to come. Every insider report is dissected, every cryptic tweet analyzed, fueling a narrative that feels as thrilling as it is uncertain. Rumors suggest the Bears management has been in discreet contact with Hill's camp for weeks, carefully orchestrating what could be one of the most high-profile acquisitions in recent NFL history. The speculation is relentless, with insiders hinting at contract structures, signing bonuses, and incentive clauses designed to align the interests of both the player and the franchise. Fans are scrutinizing every move, from team practices to off-season workouts, interpreting each small action as a potential clue about Hill's intentions. The excitement extends beyond Chicago, as rival teams watch nervously, aware that the addition of Hill could dramatically shift the balance of power in the NFC. Social media platforms are ablaze with reactions, ranging from disbelief to jubilation, as supporters dream of long passes, breakaway touchdowns, and highlight plays that could redefine a season. Analysts are drawing comparisons to historic player acquisitions, debating whether Hill's potential signing could be a catalyst for a Bears resurgence, reminiscent of past eras when a single superstar player seemed capable of altering a franchise's fortunes overnight. Discussions are peppered with tactical speculation, imagining how quarterbacks might adjust their timing, how offensive coordinators would design plays to maximize Hill's speed, and how defensive opponents might scramble to counteract his threat. Every rumor fuels the narrative, turning speculation into a communal experience for fans who are eager, anxious, and thrilled in equal measure, as the possibility of seeing Hill don the Bears uniform grows ever closer, making the entire city a stage for football dreams and whispered conjectures. Amid the buzz, local media outlets have reported that the Bears' facilities have been unusually active, fueling further speculation that Hill's arrival could be imminent. Observers note an uptick in player movements, late-night training sessions, and a general atmosphere of anticipation that seems to permeate every corner of the organization. Sources close to the team suggest that front office executives have been carefully reviewing logistics, from travel arrangements to personalized training regimens, ensuring that if Hill does sign, his transition will be seamless and his impact immediate. Fans have begun to flock to online forums, merchandise stores, and even Soldier Field itself, speculating on jersey numbers, potential starting lineups, and the overall offensive strategy that could accompany Hill's integration. Rumors of private meetings, late-night negotiations, and confidential medical examinations dominate conversations, each fragment of information analyzed for hidden meaning and potential confirmation of the deal. Analysts suggest that Hill's speed and agility could redefine the Bears' offensive identity, transforming them from a team with sporadic bursts of brilliance into a consistently threatening force capable of stretching defenses and creating opportunities for multiple playmakers. The excitement is infectious, drawing in casual fans and seasoned football enthusiasts alike, all imagining the energy Hill could bring to the team, the stadium, and the city as a whole. The narrative has taken on a life of its own, with every rumor amplified, every report dissected, and every whisper contributing to a growing sense that Chicago is on the brink of witnessing a transformative moment in their football history, one that could echo for seasons to come. Speculation surrounding Hill's potential arrival has also sparked discussions about the broader implications for the NFL, with commentators suggesting that this could set a new benchmark for superstar acquisitions and influence how other teams approach free agency. The ripple effects extend far beyond the Bears, with rival franchises reassessing draft strategies, salary cap allocations, and long-term planning in response to the possibility of Hill joining a team that has long sought a defining offensive weapon. Fans have become amateur analysts, poring over highlight reels, player statistics, and historical precedents, attempting to predict the synergy between Hill and the Bears' current roster. Sports talk shows are abuzz with conjecture, debating not just the financial aspects of a potential deal, but also the cultural and psychological impact on the locker room, the fan base, and the city's morale. The excitement is not purely theoretical. It manifests in fan chants, social media campaigns, and a pervasive sense of optimism that seems to reinvigorate discussions about the Bears' identity and potential. Insiders hint that Hill's presence could attract other high-profile players, create new sponsorship opportunities, and elevate the team's visibility on a national scale, further intensifying the speculation. The narrative has become self-sustaining, with each rumor feeding off the last, amplifying hopes and anxieties in equal measure, and ensuring that the topic remains at the forefront of every conversation about the upcoming NFL season. Even casual observers find themselves drawn into the drama, captivated by the prospect of a player whose mere presence could alter the trajectory of an entire franchise, while the city collectively holds its breath, awaiting confirmation that could transform speculation into reality and rumor into legend. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.